Hey everyone, what's up? It's Babylonius from PeakofSerenity.com here with another commentary video. This time it is Heroic Kil'jaeden. This fight, he's the last boss in Tomb of Sargeras. Somewhat complicated, kind of three-phase fight. 4 if you count where he's up and flying around. So let's get into it. Really at the start, it's mostly single target. You can, what I did was save my cooldowns for when the Erupting Souls come out. And basically he puts 3 targets puts on 3 targets something that summons little copies of them afterwards, so it's a good time for AoE. Like Serenity, I did use my Umbral Moonglaves, so this is the shadow reflection that I was talking about. They get really big. I recommend casting Spinning Crane Kick during this time. It looks really cool. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it just looks cool. So that's something you want to kind of save up your cleave and stuff. That's really where your DPS is going to shine, and stuff like that. So as you saw earlier, an Armageddon was cast, and I hopped in it to soak it. That's something that you can do. Touch of Karma helps, as well as diffuse magic. This is a rupturing singularity. When it falls down, it knocks you back. I definitely recommend using Transcendence in this situation. Let's see if I did. Yep, good, I did that time. Imagine that. I am getting better with my Transcendence. But yeah, so really, during this time, it's important to soak all of the Armageddons that he drops, as well as not get knocked back during Ruptured Singularity. Not get knocked off, I should say. So you always want to make sure that you're using Transcendence or doing something to not get knocked off. That Focus Dread Flame, you want to stack up in a line with people to help soak, but not stack up on people, because it does a splashing damage on anyone that anyone is stacked up. So if you're close to people, it does splashing damage. So you don't want to be stacked up on them, but in a line. So yeah, he flies. During that flying phase, I kind of figured it wasn't really worth it to try and keep up hit combo. You can do it, but it will be relatively difficult. You may have to use energizing elixir, or have some chi saved up. So here again, I was targeted by shadow reflection. So I popped my Umbral Moonglaive, and because they didn't last very long, I focused on Fist of Fury and having my Moonglaive go off and explode on them. So really that was where I chose to kind of focus my DPS. So you may be able to do more, or less DPS depending on your group. We had a lot of cleave in our raid, so they died relatively quickly. But really this part is just rinse and repeat. Soak the Armageddons. If you get this Bursting Dread Flame, you kind of want to get away from people. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but enough that you don't want to see a bunch of them stacked up. He will put a debuff on the tank, and it'll spawn a tank ad that you will have to burn down. That's kind of your priority, because every time it casts, it gets stronger, and if it casts too many times, then you'll die. It'll be bad. So, again, here's a Ruptured Singularity. Didn't use Transcendence that time because I'm an idiot. So yeah, this part is really just rinse and repeat. Avoid getting knocked back, or knocked off, I should say, from the Ruptured Singularity. Definitely try to use Transcendence. Soak the Armageddons. Try and minimize the amount of damage you take as best you can. For this fight, I used Serenity. I did not have the 6-piece bonus yet, but I do now. And ooh, that one was close. I wasn't paying attention there. And like I said, I used Umbral Moonglaive really just for the AoE. On the ads, I used my legendary bracers and boots, because those are what I use all the time. And yeah, so because Windwalkers are so fast, you can get to these things. And like I said, it's easy to soak with a Touch of Karma. We, during our progression, had these spread out. If they're stacked up, they do increase damage. So we wanted to spread out the second, or the third set of them. Now that it's on farm, we are just stacking them up and burning them down because it's a little it's a little riskier, especially during progression, but depending on your DPS, it's doable. So, yeah, so here it is, Armageddon again. When he hits some kind of percentage, 40%, 35%, he goes into this darkness phase, which is possibly my least favorite phase in the history of my time playing Warcraft. I have been trying to think of a time of a phase that I didn't like more. I mean, maybe the spirit phase, the what was it called? The Shadowmourne phase of or Frostmourne phase of heroic Lich King. I wasn't really a big fan of, but yeah. So this darkness phase, you have to go find Illidan. There are a lot of tricks nowadays to finding Illidan. You have to find him. Make sure you don't go off, because you will just whoop, right off the edge. Definitely pop a cooldown. Stay in here so your healers can top you off, help off heal, whatever you got to do. Illidan puts a buff on you so that you can see these shadow souls and kill them. But really, this phase is it just sucks. I think it's just stupid. It's like somebody thought it was like a great idea, and then they were like, yeah, but no one actually put any additional thought into it. I don't know. So, yeah, as you can see, I spent my Umbra Moonglaves, and they're blowing up thin air. And really, this phase is just all about killing. You have to kill all of those little spirit things. Eventually, you guys will get better at it. In terms of you can grip them and stun them and all that good stuff. Putting a Transcendence where Illidan is will help you kind of jump back and forth. So now in this third phase, finally, it's just really a burn phase. You want to kill him before he kills you. So this is where we pop Lust and all of our cooldown second pots and stuff like that. He drops these pillars on the ground, which put out fire in a plus sign. Like you can see, they have a little cross kind of shape at the top. So fire shoots out in all of those directions. A flaming orb spawns, which you do want to avoid, so that it can be kited farther away. And typically a hunter or somebody, Windwalker probably could do it, since, high mobility. You have to be closest to it. He puts out this thing that draws you in, and you don't want to go in it until he starts casting Darkness of 1,000 whatevers. And yeah, so this phase is really just a burn and staying alive phase. I ran away from the flaming orb. You definitely want to make sure you have your cooldowns ready, especially if you're not sure about where you're standing for those big green laser thingies. And Touch of Karma, Diffuse Magic is all going to be very useful on this fight. Use them, regularly to help soak things, to help just stay alive. So he runs to the middle, casts Darkness of 1,000 Souls, which is he explodes at the end, so you want to wait until right before the end to duck in to minimize the amount of damage you take, and then kill them. So this is just rinse and repeat. He will tear another rift right now, which will suck you towards it, and then it's just burning him as quickly as you can before he kills you. This third phase is typically the easier of the three. The first phase is much more of a coordination thing. The second phase is much more of just trying not to die. And then this third phase is really just a DPS burn with some mild coordinating and staying alive. So, yeah, that's really the fight. It was a decently enjoyable fight. If you take out that darkness phase weirdness, then I think it's a great fight, well designed. I've started watching some of the people streaming Mythic, and it just looks bananas, just insane. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this answers more questions than it creates. Please support me through Patreon and PayPal. You can subscribe and follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, like, comment, and subscribe to this video, all that good stuff that I'm still getting used to saying at the end of these videos. So check out all my other commentary videos and kill videos, and thank you for watching.